Oh, Blake Bruni here from Tree Whip Company, and we're going to go over the overhead crack today. Now, this is a Simon Martin Whip-A-Lay stock whip, and I like to use these because they're white. It's a lot easier to see. Black whip's kind of harder to see the motion of, so it's one reason I use it. Besides, it's the fact that he makes a really good, nice synthetic whip. Now, I recommend getting a synthetic whip eventually, even if you love leather, which I'm a leather man myself. I love leather, but it's always nice to have some really good synthetic, whether it's a good nylon whip maker, a reputable one, or Simon Martin's the only one that really makes Whip-A-Lays, but they're good to have, so you don't have to worry about making sure the fall's been conditioned and not getting too dry on you. You can just grab and go as you need. So with this, we're going to talk about the overhead crack. Now, we've already talked about the cattleman's crack, and the cattleman's is definitely the prerequisite for the overhead crack. Now here's the cattleman's. All right, we get the momentum to come around, and when we get it to the horizontal plane we want, to bring it forward. Now the overhead is the same thing, but it's on the horizontal plane instead of the vertical plane here. It comes around horizon instead of vertical. So the overhead kind of looks like this from the side. Normally it comes up sharp to the head and then casts out, but it kind of cracks at an angle like this. From the front view, or we can go very slow. We don't put a lot of pop into it. When you know what you're doing, you can still get a pop. I mean, when you know what you're doing, you know you don't put all the power in. Now, Anthony DeLongis does what he calls, but the natural curve of the whip backwards. And we talked about in other videos where it creates that rolling loop a little easier to have the natural curve going back than it does forward. And stock whips kind of have that too. It's kind of a way they want to lay one way more than the other, but it's nowhere near as dynamic as a bull whip. And with this, he has a way that's more camera friendly. So instead of it cracking out there, he brings it around a little more. And what we're going to do is we're going to see it out of the corner of eye, or the horizontal plane of this whip when it comes around. When it's around here, that's where I cast it forward. So we're going to wait till it comes around, and then I cast it forward. And in this way, it comes straight at you. So you can see that again. So if you're using a camera, it rolls right out of the camera a little more by holding it a little bit longer and then casting it more that way instead of just a crisp up and a crisp down, just like the dude from James Bond with the hat. So instead of, we bring it around a little more. Now either one can work, but when you start doing two-handed whip routines, you know, you really need the overhand to be over here, because with working the two in tandem, it's a lot easier than trying to bring it. You want to bring all these down and then throw off your rhythm. But both are good for the overhead. I definitely say if you're looking for double-handed, definitely get that down. It's probably a lot easier. But the biggest pitfalls people have is they're always saying, I constantly am hitting my head. Well, there could be a lot of reasons why. But one of them is when they bring this around, it's not really coming around strong enough to maintain the horizontal plane. And so when they crack out, it can drop like this. So bring it really strong around. Plus, the other reason that I believe a lot of people get hit with it, besides the fact that maybe they're not holding this straight, and when they bring it back, they're also bringing it straight. I think a lot of the problem is they're not letting it come around long enough, so when you crack it out, even this one, it's not going to come back over my head, because the whip's a little more back here instead of directly behind me, so that when it comes, it'll hit me. You want to make sure, once again, it kind of, even if you're not seeing it from the side like the DeLongis method, it's back here, so when it cuts forward, it's nowhere on the plane to hit your head. And the third one is this. With this stick, they may bring this around great, but instead of throwing the frisbee so that it's coming back on the horizontal plane, they want to bring it down like the cattleman's crack. So they'll go horizontal and cattleman's. And I mean, they'll get it to crack like that, where you're more likely with this change of angle to make it come back and hit you. So pay attention as you bring it up and bring it down. And a lot of people tell you to get used to swinging it around a lot before you crack it. I'm not really a big fan of that, because it can cause a bad habit, but that can help. I'd rather them put it behind themselves and really learn to swing it around. Just learn to really just, in one nice smooth motion, bring it around. Now, the overhead crack is definitely a very important crack, like the cattleman's. Definitely one of the fundamental cracks. And as you're trying to get this to help people with it, another way to help teach them is just keep doing the cattleman's crack, but just angle it a little. Try to keep it away from the headline, but just slowly angle it. And when it's diagonal, that's pretty good. Now I can feel more confident to bring it over and over. But it's the same crack, just on the horizontal plane. Good. This is the overhead crack. One of the 4 staples to any one-handed or two-handed whip cracking routines. My name is Blake Bruni from Trinity Whip Company. I hope this is helpful for you in instructing others. God bless and have a good day.